This is the Reds POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Cincinnati Reds. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good evening, Reds fans, and welcome to another installment of the POSTCAST, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network and the Locked On Reds Network as well. My name is Tim Daniel. I've been covering the Reds media, different publications in podcast form for the last 5 seasons at outlets such as the Riverfront and Late Night Reds. You can check me out for every single Reds game here live on YouTube or your podcast app of choice at no additional charge. And of course, check out my friends Jeff Carr and Stephen Alfenbaker at Locked On Reds Monday through Friday on this very feed. On tonight's show, we're talking about a disappointment of a game that the Cincinnati Reds gave away to the Miami Marlins to take their first series loss. That's not their first series loss, but an embarrassing series loss to the Marlins, their first one in Miami, what I meant to say, in 4 years. We're going to discuss Noelvi Marte hitting a laser of a home run later in the show, and we're going to give some credit to Nick Martinez on a really nice outing today that really should have been the winner of today's game. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to field your comments. We're going to discuss a couple things. And of course, we'll get to it, guys. Here's what we're talking about. Not sure if it's a good or bad thing.
This is what you'll be talking about.
So all year, the Cincinnati Reds have had a really good defensive situation. They've had some defensive games that haven't been very good. But tonight, there was a particular defensive ending that sucked, and it cost them the game. So in the bottom of the 7th, the Reds go into the inning up 3-2, and we have a couple situations there that were really, really frustrating and cost the Reds a chance to win this game and have a chance to go for a rubber match tomorrow. By the way, once again, the Reds lost another series that they lost the first game, so we have that going for us as well. So let's go ahead and we'll get to the 7th here as I pull it up just to make sure I wrote in my notes so I have it step by step of what happened. Bear with me here for just a quick second. All right, so Connor Norby hits a ground rule double. You're like, okay, whatever, you can live with that. Then you get Mervis out on the pop up. That's great. And then Otto Lopez hits a single to center field where Graham Ashcraft probably should have just tried to hit Ellie on the cutoff, tried to throw home. They bring in a run, and then Otto Lopez moves up to second. And then we get the 2 outs. And then Xavier Edwards has a single to Graham Ashcraft that was like this like ballerina spin, try to throw the ball to first base. It bounces off Candelario's glove and goes away, and that has Otto Lopez score again, and that ends up being the game. In days like this, where your offense is not necessarily great, to put it nicely, though they did have 7 hits, that was the last thing your team needed was the defense to do that. So we're talking here about what really has been just yesterday. I can live with losing that game. Like I said, Max Meyer was awesome. He was super good. Today, you go against a guy like we have it up here. You go against a guy like Cabrera, who was getting strikeouts, but didn't look very good. I mean, I wouldn't say I was very impressed with them, especially, the Marte homer was sick. That was one thing, but I feel like the Reds were getting really good hits on him, especially the 3rd time through the order. That was kind of what happened there. But this is kind of where things are going for this team right now, where in such as like this, and look, they played really good baseball here at the end of the month, big part, 8 of the last 13. Like, you'll take 8 and 5 stretches at any point in the year. But they can't make these errors like this because the bottom of the order basically still kind of stinks right now. We'll call it what it is. Trevino and Fraley are hitting well. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Really, the only one not really performing in the offensive lineup tonight was Candelario. Though he did have a sac fly that gave them the lead. So that was great. But other than that, nothing else to talk about. Especially because he's sitting over there watching Noelvi Marte take his job, it feels like, which we're going to get to that in the next segment as well. And tonight, the Reds just gave this game away. It's a game they should have won. Consistent trend we're noticing is how many people are left on base and how do they hit with runners in scoring position. Tonight they had only 5 chances with runners in scoring position. They got 1 hit. So pretty irritating day. Sold the slash this year. If you want to know how good Austin Hayes has been, this is his first game since he came back. He didn't record a hit. So that's pretty impressive. And I believe he drew a walk. He did draw a walk. So he's getting on the base quite a bit. So there's that going for him as well. And I thought overall, thought the Reds played well enough to win tonight. They just didn't seem to be able to put it together. But I will live with it, I guess. We're going to go and do something a little different today because we already talked about it and we don't want to kind of do it. But let's get to the turning point of tonight's game.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Turning point was strictly put Graham Ashcraft making a really bad decision when he probably should have just held onto the ball and given a chance for the Reds to take the lead back in the next inning. Dumb play. Think he'll learn from it. I've been pretty happy with him so far in this bullpen rule. Tonight was not his best night, but we'll shall see. So let's get to the comments here before we get to the next segment. Agent, let me try to see if I can find it real quick. So he said, leadoff Friedel, 2-hole Marte Lux, 3-hole Ellie, 4-hole Hayes, 5-hole Lux Marte, 6-hole McLean, 7-hole Fraley, 8-hole Candy, 9-hole Trevino, dots. Don't hate it. Like the thought pressure's going with, but I don't know, man. I still really believe in Matt McLean and feel like something's coming. I know he's been striking out quite a bit of lately, but when he is making contact, it's very nice contact. The OPS is still very high. But I do think that the conversation moving the lineup around does need to be had. And I am definitely willing to do that, to have that conversation as well, especially if things keep going the way they are. Patrick says, I am numb. Will you hold me? I don't think my wife would appreciate that. Josh Beckley seems like a lot of disappointing losses so far. Yeah, they have been. This was one where I didn't really like anything about this game whatsoever. You got to win that game. You can't let that go. But this is going to be, hopefully it's a learning lesson for these guys because you should be, the Marlins are better than they have in years past, but you should beat the Marlins. Today was just a really, really disappointing day where they let the game get away and they should not have lost that one. But hey, one guy who did have a really nice game, Noelvi Marte, not just the homer, but he's doing a lot. Let's talk about Noelvi here in just a second, right after this. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, especially for the NBA playoffs when my Cleveland Cavaliers are playing and taking care of business against the Miami Heat. One of my teams has to beat a Miami team, right? Whether it's picking my favorite team, the Cavs, or diving into player pops, I really love Donovan Mitchell points plus assists. It's one of my favorite things to play. From 3-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me tonight on yet another disappointing night for the Cincinnati Reds as they take an unfortunate loss to the Miami Marlins 4-3. I guess big picture is this team, I think, has a lot of good things going for it still. Ty Steve tonight comes back and has his first rehab outing. Had a nice day. Got an RBI double, threw a guy out at second. So that's a positive sign. I feel like the offense has actually been really, really good now for a couple weeks. Just tonight was just a night where they defensively, they pitched really well tonight too, honestly. I thought tonight they pitched well enough to win. It just didn't go their way. Let's talk about Noelvi Marte tonight. So first off, a flat out missile off the bat or a laser, whatever metaphor you want to use for it, I'll hear it because it was awesome. He hits has 117 miles per hour off the bat over the wall. Just flat out. I don't know. What was the speed? I didn't see the speed from home plate to their stands, but I really love it. And drew another walk. So look, this is extremely small sample size. See, Patrick, I'm not allowed to say that, but I will display it because you can and I can't. Marte has been awesome. You're absolutely right. Logan, do not put that into society. Okay, Logan, please. All right. We don't need that. We need happiness. Marte so far this year, 346 batting average, 2 homers, 8 RBI, 2 stolen bases, a 1.085 OPS, and only 3 strikeouts. I mean, last year was rough. Last year was really rough, as we know. But I think it was just because, obviously, the suspension and all that stuff going on. 99. Thank you, Foswad. I appreciate that. All the suspension issues and then trying to get back and get consistent with Major League play, it just couldn't get going. And so luckily, we're not having that issue for them right now. And I feel like the way that the guys are hitting the ball, big picture, like I think McLean's going to hit. I just think that right now it's just a rarity that we have for him where he does. I mean, he's too good. He's too good. Ellie, I think, is having really good at bats. Got 2 steals tonight. That was awesome. I mean, that's always fun to see. It's like when you play with Ellie and MLB The Show. Like if he gets on first, you're not letting him stay there. So I'm definitely going to be excited to see how everything plays out. Adrian S. Hey, Tim, when Ty Steve comes back, do you take Trevino out of the lineup or do you give Ty Steve reps at first? I want no Tyler Stevenson reps at first base. But I think if you're the Reds and you're smart and you have so many designated hitter options, there are ways you can make this work. And one of those is that I think Tyler Stevenson is going to get the majority of the catching reps. But Jose Trevino has been so good that you have to find a way to get him at bats. So what we're saying here is that's a really good problem to have. Not a lot of teams can talk about the way that there are 3 catchers so far when they get Stevenson back and the way Wins and Trevino have hit. That's a really good problem to have. So, and Stevenson can only help this team offensively. Yeah, Logan says Ty Steve should start DH in my opinion. Certainly it's a conversation to have. If you're Tito and Chris Valleca, I mean, it's a good conversation that you can kind of go through there. So, Jake Fraley went hitless tonight. That's a rarity these days, but I thought, I know he had a strikeout, but I thought he had good at bats. Gavin Lux, man, just awesome. Gavin Lux and TJ Friedl. I said a lot in my previous regime over at Late Night Reds before I came over here to Locked On that I thought that 2023 was an outlier for TJ Friedl, and I didn't know if he could be that good again. So far, it's been really good. I mean, he's getting on base at the top of the order. So it's certainly been nice to see. Yeah, I see all the Trevino. Look, I love Trevino too. An unbelievable trade for both teams after I looked more into what New York is getting from Cruz. But man, I feel like Tyler Stevenson definitely has a higher ceiling, and you're not bringing Tyler Stevenson up to not play. So, Mark, I understand this. So he says that Johnny Bench said that playing first base would add a couple years to his career, but Johnny Bench played center field in some circumstances in his career, but because he had the arm. But with that being said, I don't love this happens to every catcher, right? And I'll be honest, and let's be real. Every catcher wants to catch as long as they can. You know why? Because they're gonna get money. No, Adrian, they can't, but they got to find a way to do it. So, like I said, it is their problem, not ours, and it's a great problem to have. So I'm going to be very happy when Tyler Stevenson comes back. But I'm sure Jeff and Steve are really the ones that are supposed to be having that conversation with you guys, and I can't wait to hear their thoughts on it as well. So, hey, let's get to our big player love of the night, our player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
We've been waiting for a good Nick Martinez outing for a while, and we got one tonight. I know he didn't finish the 6th inning, but was really solid tonight. 5 2/3, 2 earned runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, 4 Ks. Was in line for the win. Should have won. That was really his game, and the Reds should have done better for him. What's really frustrating is that Graham Ashcraft had a really disappointing outing, and really Nick Martinez just the bullpen's done a really good job picking guys up quite a bit through the year. And today, Graham kind of let that one go where Nick Martinez was what we've been waiting for. Graham Martinez was the 5th starter today. So we've had this conversation quite a bit, especially with Abbott pitching so well of late as far as the 5th starter situation. And, right now, until you get your next guys back, I know Wade Miley had his first rehab start tonight, and it was his first one his first outing since Tommy John. You can imagine it didn't go very well. I'm not worried about that. anything you get from Wade Miley is icing on the cake. And then Rhett Lauder, whatever ends up happening with him, I hope we see him very soon. So this could be, that's obviously a nice addition to have. And I don't think Chase Burns is going to be in Cincinnati very soon, but it seems like he is climbing the boards pretty quickly as he's been promoted to Double-A Chattanooga. And I cannot wait to see how he does there. Those poor Double-A pitchers have no idea what's coming. But hey, we'll go ahead and wrap this up before I get into full-on Reds franchise conversation. The Reds, unfortunately, are losers tonight, 4-3 to the Miami Marlins. The Miami Marlins victors at 4 runs, 9 hits, no errors. The Cincinnati Reds, 3 runs, 7 hits, and 1 error. Your winning pitcher is Lake Batcher for his first win of the season. Your losing pitcher, Graham Ashcraft, and your pitcher with the save is Calvin Fauché. I don't know how to say it. Tomorrow, the Cincinnati Reds have to try to get a win and hit the road before they go to Coors for their day off. Brady Singer takes the hill going against Sandy Alcantara. Now, I know Sandy Alcantara's stats don't look very good, but he's very, very good, so I would not be counting this as a win just yet. Singer coming in 3-0 with a 3.8, and Alcantara coming in 2-1 with a 7.27. That game will be at 1:10 tomorrow. I'll probably be on about 4:15 or so, depending on what time the last out is. But I hope we're talking about a win tomorrow. It's definitely much needed for you to go to Colorado and you try to stack some wins there against a team that's not very good. But hopefully the Reds can get this going to end the month. Everyone, thank you so much for hanging out tonight. Be sure, as always, to check out Locked On in your favorite app of choice, whether it's right here on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. No cost to you. And, of course, check out Jeff and Steve on Locked On Reds as they recap tonight and then some. I'm Tim Daniel. Thank you all so much. Enjoy your evenings, and we will talk tomorrow afternoon.